Hello hero, this is Lucy Lannon. Let's have a look at your finances, shall we? When I say finances, this could be a workplace reading, a career reading, it could be to do with your colleagues, it could be to do with education, whether that's primary or sort of further education, just anything in the realm of income, job, that kind of an area. And you know more than me because you've seen the subject header. So whatever comes up, I'm not taking that. Whatever comes up, take what resonates, because this is a general reading for quite a large audience. Hopefully in the end, please subscribe. And yeah, we'll see what comes out, shall we? I'm using the Smithwaite Black and Gold today. So if you like the deck, that's the one to book with me in my private shop. Link down below. That wasn't a thumbs down. That was a link is in the doobly-doo. Okay. What does my collective need to know money-wise? I'm including reversals, but that's just because it's another 78 meanings. So do not fret, my little chucky egg. All will be well, okay? One more, and then I've been told 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that may be a significant number for you. Is that one coming out? No, it was that one that I was meant to see, was it? Do you want to do some leapers? We haven't done that in a while. Thank you. Hooray! 2 jumpers already. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll take one more, please. Just to get an initial, is that one? Yep. Are we this way up? Okay, we're that way up. Wicked. We'll take more as we go, but I just want to know what's cracking, really. I'm hearing In the Summertime in my head, the song, so you may be one of my close friends who wrote a very silly song with me to that tune, in which case, hi, lovely to see you. Thank you for supporting me. Tower still came out, that's interesting. And if not, you may be viewing this rather than in October when it's coming out in the summer, or you may be thinking about holidays or something like that to do with finances. There's just something about summertime being relevant here. Okay, so Page of Pentacles, Magician reverse, Knight of Pentacles, 2 of Pentacles reverse, Lovers reverse, the Tower and the Ace of Swords. Let me have a think for a quick sec. Okay, so I'm a little confused still as to this Tower and Ace of Swords, but we'll pull more on that. The general situation, I feel, is that if this is your reading, you have been recently offered some kind of promotion, job. For some of you, somebody's tracked you down within your industry, or somebody very unusual and perhaps prestigious has reached out. In terms of them being a page, it might be that this person comes off as relatively youthful or young. That doesn't mean that they're immature necessarily, although sometimes I read it that way. In this case, they could be somebody who just looks very young for their age, or somebody who has like a boisterous, rambunctious spirit is what I want to say. But whatever it is, they've come towards you and said, hey, I've been watching you, or we've been watching you, or we received your application, or whatever it is. Would you like this? And your internal response, whether or not it's been your external yet, is to go, oh shit, I don't think I'm qualified. Or feeling like you're not experienced enough for it quite yet. The Magician and the Upright is somebody who has all the tools available to them to do whatever it is that they like, and to kind of transcend any barriers, oppositions that would normally be in place for someone like them. So this is someone, if you were going to say yes, let's just say that you would probably feel that you came from a longer time experientially, that you had more strings to your bow in terms of skill set. And it might even mean that you came from different circumstances in terms of feeling comfortable, because to say that the Magician is unable to transmute a certain energy suggests to me that there is a belief that other people from some kind of privilege are more fitting for the role. And I don't know whether that's that they've had the privilege of relevant experience, or whether it goes deeper to things like disability, race, income level when born, you know, sort of class strata stuff. or any of the other things where in the workplace we can be sort of not even discriminated against necessarily, but we can feel that we are behind because of factors that don't apply to everyone in the office or other realm. You know, if this is educational, take it that way too. I feel that other than that, whatever that is, you are actually quite qualified. The Magician is a major arcana. It's a very competent card. It's somebody that I would be happy to see running a business or something in any kind of reading like this. For some of you, I'm hearing running a team. But it's almost like you're stood in your own way with this because you're like, no, I don't think I'm ready. So it's a no. And for some hearing, it's still a no, which means that you've had a similar sort of offer before. But again, it's like you believe at this point that you can't take ideas, guidance, inspiration, shall we say, for whatever it is that's your field, and kind of ground it into something that would be relevant to a team or a client base or whatever it is. You see this sort of as above, so below hand stuff going on, but he's not pointing to the toolkit on the table, the skill set, the mastery. He's pointing instead to a kind of blank space. And I feel that's indicative in your case, regardless of whether you identify with the Magician or whatever gender you are or anything like that. I feel that it's like pointing to nothing, saying, well, I have nothing to offer you yet. I'm not sure that that's accurate, my dude. And with this infinity symbol above his head, which has now been inverted to be sort of more grounded, the implication from Spirit is that this is a perpetual process of saying no. So if you've refused this offer before, there is about to be a circumstance where you refuse it again or where you have the choice to again. And I think that's why you're seeing all this, because I almost want to say, even before we get into further detail, that you are qualified for this. It might be challenging at first. You might feel out of your depth immediately, but I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility, because this figure wouldn't have approached you if they thought that you couldn't keep up. There's something here. The Cups is leaping out to me, so there's something about emotionally feeling like you can't juggle it with other things, and that comes up a little bit later. Knight of Pentacles is somebody who has very slow progress towards a material goal. It's positive that we're seeing a number of pentacles in a money reading, but it's also the slowest knight. I like to call him the slowpoke, and if I'm honest, I don't like it when he comes out at a spread. Not because he's a necessarily negative card, but just because sometimes he's so steady that it seems like you have to put him on time lapse to really see any movement. And that may even be relevant to what you do for some of you. For some of you, you are editors, photographers, etc. And that's just a confirmation that indeed you should be here. In which case, hit me up in the comments with what it is that you do if you feel comfortable. But there's something... It's not even that there's something blocking you, it's that you feel that there would be a slow and steady process to finally making the choice over at the Lovers as to, yes, this is the right time, this is the right circumstance, I can unite the different sides of myself experientially, emotionally, intellectually and physically to be able to carry this. And you'll notice that in doing that and in working very slowly towards something, the Knight is facing away from all this emotional stuff that we talked about, and indeed from a feeling of inadequacy, imposter syndrome, perhaps being ill-prepared even if you do feel qualified. And even with it being major arcana, if everyone around you says, you're mad if you don't take this, you'd be really great, you know, because this is someone, not only are they a more key card than the other things we're seeing, but they are the first person in the tarot that isn't the Fool. So they're kind of the first competent person to interact with the protagonist of tarot, if you see it like that. So it's like, it's almost an energy of you are the first person anyone would think of for this. But you are looking away from that and looking away from the pressures put on you by that into the distance, going, well, if I travel this much in this day and I bring these supplies, I can ride to the nearest town by XYZ. The trouble is, my dude, I I'm not sure that other people are seeing things on this timeline. And indeed, there is a risk with you facing away from the offer as well as yourself that this opportunity may pass you by, right? Not that it won't ever be offered to anybody again, but that in being so measured with your approach and saying maybe one day, maybe next Thursday, give it a year, give it 6 months, there's going to be this thing of like, the next time they come round to where you are, having moved forward, to be able to ask you about it, it's either not going to be available anymore in the same way, or there's going to be a bit of antagonism, I think, between them and you in terms of having to ask you what I feel is multiple times, right? Do you want this? Do you want this yet? Do you want this yet? It's almost like this Knight of Pentacles, because of the way I see him, and this is an entirely personal take, but it's giving additional messages. Because I don't like this guy, I don't want to be too harsh to you or freak you out or anything, but it's almost like the more times you say no, the less they're going to like the prospect of asking you again, right? In the same way that I see the Knight, and I'm like, I don't really want to deal with that. There is a feeling that whoever this company or course or set of people or whatever it is, keeping them waiting is not a great idea in the long term, even if you're doing so from a place of strategy and groundedness. With the Two of Pentacles in reverse, there is also an indication on this process, on this journey, things may actually be more difficult to juggle than you anticipate now. It's almost like, if we take the hypothetical road of, you said no this time, and you're going to kind of travel at your own pace, learn the skills that you feel you still need to learn, get your confidence up, get your emotional equilibrium back, etc. That's actually going to be more of a juggle and more of a struggle than you see at the moment. Perhaps because with these ships on the water, there are going to be unseen factors coming in, additional jobs you have to do, stuff with family that's going to take up more of your time and energy, perhaps a new relationship, perhaps a different set of friends or a different location, something to do with your housing that's going to be kind of interfered with by spirit. This isn't a tragedy by any stretch. This isn't something to worry about. But what it is telling me is that life happens. And if you keep saying no, part of this kind of resistance when this thing comes round again is going to be that your circumstances have changed and you're perhaps less able at a future point to really take this on. And I do feel that the reason you're saying no is that this is a position you want, or it's an institution you'd like to be under, or even if this is something like a potential redundancy that's being offered now, I think if you say, no, I need to save and do this very Knight of Pentacles, very sort of Taurus and Capricorn type thing of let's take a measured approach, let's take a long-term plan, it may not be available in the same way by the time that you're sort of juggling those things. And therefore you might lose money, right? Because overall this is still a money reading. With the Lovers in the reverse, this is not making a choice. And, I sort of put this as the goalpost earlier when we spoke about you making this journey of being better, more qualified. I'm hearing in my head, we can make you better, faster, stronger. But it's kind of like even within that series, it's like an impossible dream, or a dream that comes with consequence that's unseen at the beginning, or, it's very fraught. So it's like, yes, you can get to this goalpost, but again, by the time you get there, what my brain's saying is it'll have flippity-dippitied. It's reconciling aspects of yourself in order to feel ready is actually going to present a larger challenge than just gaining a skill set whilst juggling other things. And if I was to sum up this top line, what I would say is, you think that what's delaying you is becoming more skilled. I think that what's delaying you is feeling competent. And I think that maybe as we go forward, we're going to see what aspects of your life have kind of robbed you of that or stripped that from you, that have then kind of masqueraded as this, I just need to be more professional in this aspect kind of energy. But there is a real danger here of a missed opportunity, and particularly with this sort of third angel figure above the lovers. Actually, I'm not going to turn that the right way up because I don't want YouTube to penalise me. But, you know, with there being a third presence, and it's traditionally Gabriel as well. So this does speak to the emotional, the watery. It's like there is an observer over this process of you reconciling the disparate aspects of self. And that is what I'm reading it as. This isn't a literal indication as to something with a love relationship. Not ruling that out. That may be part of what you're juggling, but it's not within the scope of this reading. If you want love readings from me, by the way, there is a playlist, and indeed you can book with me if you want something more exact. In this sort of thing of like, are me and me agreed on this, which comes after all the skill set stuff, I feel that may be the real stumbling block. So the irony is that you could go away and work on this and do the study that you need to do, or do the further training, or have more experience within a certain field. But once you've sort of leapt those hurdles, if you like, the bit that you're really getting to of going, now do I feel competent? I feel the answer may still be no. And I think that's because it's not a Pentacles problem. It's not a grounded, real world issue, actually. It's very convincing as one, because yes, there are things that you could do with sort of swatting up on, or having further experience in, but that's not the root of the issue. And with Pentacles, we're always looking to the root chakra as well. So that may, if you've had other readings that have mentioned root chakra work, or you've been going into childhood stuff in therapy, or early life, or roots, or belonging in some way in a place, all of that is relevant to whatever this is. Now, Tower and Ace of Swords suggests to me that there is something either about to come up that, you know, we're sort of about to see what this kind of juggle struggle is, and there's the truth of the matter with the Ace, or this could be reflective of whatever it is that has been emotionally holding you back thus far from feeling like you've got things handled. So I'm going to move these over here, and we're going to take 3 cards as to like what that is and why. Okay, are we the right way up? Yeah, I didn't think so. Right. Okay, so there's the 3 of Cups, the 2 of Wands, and a King of Pentacles. And just for my own reference, is this the past, or is this talking about this too? This is the past, okay. That was a 5 of Pence if you're referring back at home, but I'm not about to explain all the cards. We'll just get to the meanings. I think there was a recent circumstance, or maybe not so recent, because it is root chakra, but if it was recent, it heavily disrupted your sense of self, sense of place. Maybe you had to move, or maybe you had to kind of completely reinvent yourself in terms of network and sort of the things that make you feel like you or feel at home. But again, this could be way, way back, or it could be recent, but you know, those are the characteristics if it's recent. I'm sort of falling over myself to say this as well. So it's like communication may have not been great in this situation, but there is something to do with a friendship group or a third party situation. Take it as you see fit, broad reading, broad audience, that affected your ability to plan ahead and made you feel, I want to say poor, but it's sort of poor in almost in a spiritual sense. It's like it's interesting that I asked this card whether it was going to appear in reverse or not, and it wanted to be this way up, right? Because it was originally the other way. And this King in reverse would be a feeling that you are not abundant enough, perhaps grandiose enough with your resources, or kind of rich enough in mentality and background. The fact that it's now in the upright is like you have the capability, you're looking at the pentacle, you're seeing that this came from this, but it's still the case, right? So whatever this thing was with your friends, or with like a third party relationship situation, perhaps being cheated on, perhaps being just put in a dynamic where you were always competing for attention, be that social or relationshipy, as I say, it prevented your ability to plan ahead. It's like you were looking at the globe and you were thinking globally in this long-term way, But in terms of your immediate action, you see this wand is nailed into place. So it's like, what I feel is that there was an emotional knock which attacked your sense of self from a material perspective, perhaps because you were around people who had very materialistic values that, whether or not you agreed with them at the time, actually posited that you were not materially enough in the end, right? Or that you weren't flexing enough, or that you weren't able to keep up within a social group. I'm seeing somebody to dinner with loads of friends, and then when the cards come out at the end of the thing, it's like either being unable to pay your share or being unable to pay for that dinner that time, and it being a really sort of like shameful thing because the people around you were kind of keeping up in that way for whatever reasons. I mean, they may not have been abundant, they may have been financially relying on other people to do that, but whatever it was, I feel like you thought it was important to be able to provide within a group or a relationship, and you felt like shit that you couldn't. Or if you could kind of keep up, I feel like there's a potential that somebody made you feel like crap for not having the right car, the right clothes, or like they would insinuate that other people around them had those things in a way that suggested that you could improve on all that. And to you, I think it either wasn't important or it was like, I'm not in a position to do that. Will you please just give me some leeway? But whatever it is, it like left you grounded in place. So it's like you were trapped in this situation in some way. I don't know whether that's because you invested in a certain group or something, or whether it's because it just made you feel so much like shit that you perhaps made plans and then instantly stopped or delayed them. It makes me think of, I hope this isn't oversharing, but it makes me think of a recent circumstance where I had a bad time and I decided that I was going to take myself on a holiday abroad because I haven't been able to go abroad because of disability stuff since I was a uni student, which is a long, long time ago. And I got really excited about it. I told all my closest friends, or the ones that, you know, would be open to that stuff or that had travel tips or whatever. I was really hyped. I was really like, yes, this makes the last year or so of struggling quite a bit worth it. And then, because I was so hype, I went to somebody that I know is not really good for my energy and that I know for their own reasons tends to bring down my ideas or my plans and make it seem like they're not really feasible, so that I sort of stay closer to them and sort of need them more, right? And I went and told this person about all these wonderful plans, and lo and behold, within the space of a phone conversation, I suddenly didn't feel that I could go anymore. You know, I felt like, well, you haven't travelled in a long time and you'll be on your own and you're a woman and, you know, there's all these complex things and you have to get health insurance and you've got all these problems. And it just became a complete chore to do what initially had been something that I was really not just happy to do, but actively fired up by on my own purpose or in my own direction, right? So I feel like there's some element here of somebody around you, I want to say not wanting you to thrive in a way that doesn't rely upon them. So perhaps you made travel plans and you had a similar experience to what I did. Or if this is less literally about globalness or global travel or moving or whatever it is, there's just a sense of you telling somebody, I'd like to do this, perhaps even in your career, and them shooting you down and saying, do you really think that a person like how you have been can do that right now? Or doing what the person in my life tends to do and saying, oh, you know, I'd be really scared if I was you doing that, but also sort of saying, and if you go and you go without all of us, we'll be upset in some way, or don't you think people will be jealous, or don't you think you'll have more problems? So it's like, excuse me, I'm getting hiccups, which is a confirmation. So there's a do you think you can really do that shame thing. There's simultaneously a people like you don't do this thing. Then there's also a, if you do that and you leave me behind for whatever reason, because it's your thing, then I will be too sad. So there's like guilt trip stuff. And then there's a smidge of, And if you do that and you don't involve other people, won't this person at work be annoyed with you? Won't this person in your family be jealous? Won't this person who you normally help out financially see that you can't support them anymore and be angry with you? And it's almost like there's somebody or a group of people in your life that's like trying to persuade you all the time not to do you from a financial perspective, while simultaneously financially shaming you because of their own values. And I think that that is at the root of why it is that you don't actually feel able to do this, right? So the tower really was not a tower. It was very gradual. It was very insidious. I don't think this was a one-time thing. I don't see it as being a sudden event, although there may have also been life-altering sudden events attached to it. I think it was about somebody being truthful or blunt and masquerading it as like truth, but it wasn't the truth, right? And that's why we had to get clarification for it. I think whatever you've been told about yourself in recent times is not the whole truth of who you are, particularly in terms of how you are made to feel about competence, financial independence, financial capability, and whether or not, if you did have success and money, it would be then an obligation to take care of others before yourself. Because the interesting sort of double-edged sword of this, and the reason that I thought of this my own circumstance when I read it, is that really this is coming from a dependence on you, from a person or people who will simultaneously shame you when you're doing okay and imply that you're not doing okay, right? So it's this thing of like, if you're doing financially all right and you do something fun with these people, there's a guilt there that you're not paying for them, or that you're not flexing in the right way that they would choose with their particular values and aesthetics and so forth. And it's like a shaming when you're doing well, but then when you're not doing so well, perhaps because you've been helping a lot of people out within this dynamic, or maybe just because, again, you're taking a slow, steady approach because your feet are on the ground, there is definitely like it gives me the vibe of like group humiliation, to be honest, or at least one person coming to you with what they're framing as a generous truth that will help you out, whereas actually it's a shaming mechanism that will keep you grounded so that you are tied to them in some way, right? So there is very much a reliance on you. And what I want to tell you, if it helps to unlock this sort of feeling beyond just feeling angry about it, is that you wouldn't have been shamed if this person or these people didn't need your capability to begin with, right? It's like whoever this is about was already reliant on you, and that's why they had to make you feel like you couldn't move off and do your own thing, which is, really awful, but a lot of people do fall into that. And particularly in my own example, I was able to step away from that phone call. I haven't yet rebooked the holiday, but rationally, I was able to say, this happened because this person has always needed me to need them, right? And the minute that I don't, shaming tactics come out, or there's a feeling of fear around my health and what I'm capable of doing that is tied very financially. And it's that sort of a vibe with you. It's like, you were excited to be able to do something very competently for yourself on your own that would probably have improved your financial station. And the response to that, rather than celebration, which is the other Three of Cups meaning, and sort of encouragement, and yes, we believe in you, go forth, do apply, there was instead a, do you feel ready for that? And the unwritten bit was, because we're not, right? So if that helps to process it and rationalise it and sort of unpick any shaming that you may have undergone, I think it's a useful thing to look at. What do I want to say about the tower as well? The tower doesn't happen if it has a firm foundation, right? The tower can't be hit and can't come crumbling down, and these people don't come out of the window if the building is stable, if it's stormproof, if it's, not going to fall down in any possible way. And that is a broader truth. So this circumstance could not have happened if this dynamic was one that was built on stability and indeed nurturance of your dreams, goals, aspirations, particularly in the realms of money, career, where it is that you want to kind of live. What kind of house do you want to be in? What country with this globe you want to be in? The kinds of things you want to surround yourself with, the kind of clothes you want to wear, with this guy in the cloak and the hat who looks very different from this group over here. It's like making your own decisions about stuff is the thing that was really affected, but it is in that financial realm. And that may be because with it all being sort of very root chakra, you may be somebody who's experienced extreme poverty in a way that other people haven't, or you've seen it very directly, or you've kind of had a life where the contrast between rich and poor have been very stark, whether or not you've been on the easier side. So I feel that that's why people who may genuinely care about you know that they can kind of get you in this realm of money, right? And in this realm of, you don't present like a person who's rich, or you don't seem capable enough to do this job, or if you really loved me, you would pay for this, or if you really wanted to keep up socially, you would be wearing these things or doing these things. It's really toxic, but I feel that because it was expressed with a guise of love, and with a guise of, friendship, celebration, communal stuff, there may even have been 3 female figures involved in it, right? Sort of colluding with each other. I feel it came across well, and so you internalized it. And it's only now, you'll see the king is looking at the pentacle, and he's sort of just now with this reading contemplating this stuff. But also there's the angry bull in the background who is also looking at the pentacle, right? It's part of the throne, but it's also part of you. It makes me think of, without too many spoilers, it makes me think of House of Leaves, and how everything that happens in that story, though horrific, sort of reflects back to the characters in a way that you can't fully see until the end. So there's like a component of you which is also expressive of your fear, that is pissed about this, that knew that this was going on a deeper subconscious level. And it's like now you're in a position where you are abundant enough, perhaps settled enough, because this character's sat down and the others are all kind of moving or stood around or whatever, where you can examine this. And they're holding like a scepter as well. It makes me think of a wand. So for some of you, creatively processing how it is that you felt about this is going to be really useful. If you're someone who draws, writes songs, any of those kinds of things, it might be good to make art around this feeling, even if you don't make anything that directly sort of accuses anyone or explicitly says what's gone on, just to process it, to ground it. It's a very Taurian card. We're talking about indulging the senses in a way that brings you back down to earth. So I think that might help you in this process, but certainly I think this line is here really to explain this line and to say, you don't feel capable or qualified for this, but it would be to your detriment if you don't take them up on the opportunity, because the reasoning behind why you don't feel enough is firstly very much related to people that actually need you more than you need them, and also very much a kind of transiting tower moment based on a false truth, and to try and keep you in a realm where you don't move on, not because you wouldn't excel if you did, but because if you went any further, I think these people know they would lose you. And no amount of money from their end, no amount of looking the right way, having the right job on paper, etc., can stop you from going in your own path or in your own direction. The globe itself is an echo of the pentacle's shape, which makes me think whatever dream you had before people told you that they needed you too much, or you should have all these fears, or you should maybe consider holding back a bit from this incredible opportunity, look back to that dream, look to what it is that you wanted years ago, and that will illuminate for you whether it is that you want to take this sort of slowpoke path in a slightly different way maybe, or whether you want to go right back round to this offer, either because it's just come in or when it does come in over the next few days or weeks. and to say, yeah, you know what, I don't feel 100% about it yet, and I'm going to share some reservations with you, but I absolutely think it's too much to pass up on. My feeling with this juggling as well, if you do decide to continue on the path that you're on, is that something about thinking about this dynamic will show you what it is that you would be juggling that would be, quote unquote, in your way with all of this. So if you did decide to say no again, despite all the risks, and take a slower path and take a path to feeling just like your self-concept is slightly better before you accept this, what I want to say is still examine all this stuff, because when you've fully processed it and grounded it in this wonderful, abundant Taurian energy we're finishing with, it's going to be easier to see what it is in your life that you're currently juggling that actually you can let go of by the time that things are, really crucial time management wise, perhaps because you're taking on a new job or a new educational opportunity or whatever it is. I hope that was beneficial. If it was, please hit like, subscribe, ding the dong, thank you kindly. I'm a tiny channel. I do mostly readings in person, but I do have a shop down below if you want to book. And what I would love from this YouTube channel, and indeed from the YouTuber experience, is for it to get much bigger so that I have a global client base and I can be a bit more mobile with what I'm doing and perhaps have a bit more opportunity in my realm. So if you'd like to help me out with that, the best way to do it is to subscribe and to share this with anybody that you think may find my readings relevant. And also check out other readings. We've got Lucky Dip playlists, we've got a shuffle of the whole channel, love readings, all kinds of stuff. So I do hope you stick around and take care.